Welcome back to another weekly Forex forecast, traders. As always, we will start with the US dollar. Looking at the daily time frame here, you can see we just peaked above this daily supply. We've lasted right through it pretty much. I've been talking about this last couple weeks how we are most likely going to be targeting this liquidity, this purple box here, and we did just that. I did expect this supply zone to hold and basically see the move that we are seeing right now, but we ended up breaking it first, basically targeting the liquidity that was above there. Didn't really expect that. I kind of expected this zone to break, but not before seeing a move to the downside like that. So we kind of just got it in reverse, or whatever you want to call it. We broke above the zone. Now we're pushing down, and I think that we will most likely continue this momentum to the upside on the DXY. Now, why do I think that? Why do I think the US dollar is going to be bullish? Well, ever since the dollar pushed into my monthly demand zone, I was getting comments on all my videos, oh, the dollar's going to be weak because of this economic thing or whatever. And look, guys, I get it. Crazy times this time of year. With the government shutdown in the US and everything, definitely some uncertain times, that's for sure. So with this monthly demand in control, that is why I have remained bullish on the dollar. It doesn't mean I wasn't taking US dollar shorts. I've made many good trades, US dollar shorts, the past couple months. But now, this monthly demand, this dotted line here, that's in control. So I personally think we will at least be pushing up to weekly supply at 103. So until we can hit this supply zone, I'm going to be pretty much mid to long-term bullish, however long it takes to get to there. It doesn't mean that some weeks I'm going to be bearish. It definitely means that some weeks I'm going to be bearish. But overall, since monthly demand is in control, I'm expecting the DXY to at least push above 100 to 103 right now on the DXY. Now on the 4-hour chart, we have a nice 4-hour trend line that is currently being respected, although I'll admit that over the last Friday there, looking pretty weak on the dollar. But that's as we just start to test the lower end of this channel. So I think that's what we might be needed to push price up. If we break this upward trend line, leaving us with a good supply zone there, at that point, okay, maybe my entire analysis is incorrect, but also we have to keep in mind the monthly demand is in control, so we could see fake outs below trend lines and spikes back up. That is definitely what we could see. Just because I'm bullish doesn't mean the trend is going to be, continued indefinitely. That's for sure. On the 1-hour time frame, we clearly have momentum to the downside, a beautiful 1-hour downward trend line. It doesn't really get better than that. We have a demand zone down below, a little hidden single base rally at 99.33. So I think we could hesitate around the zone. It's such an older zone. I don't want to say that this is a zone where price is going to turn around on, but it's definitely possible. So if you are bearish, we could be day trading short the dollar pairs until we contact this demand, expecting maybe a push off of this demand zone. Since I am bullish, I'm expecting this trend line to break. So we're going to be definitely monitoring this 1-hour downward trend line to see the direction we could be headed on the DXY. All right, on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. As expected, we targeted this daily liquidity to the downside. I thought we could wick into our demand zone on the daily time frame. We just missed it. Now, if you guys are familiar with some of my other videos, I talk about liquidity a lot, and it's tough. I don't really want to call this here liquidity. It's just too close to a touch to me. So it's close. If we do pull back down this zone, it wouldn't surprise me to see a small move off of it, but ultimately I think we will end up breaking it because it came so close to a test down here. Really tricky. Seems to be happening quite a bit lately. As far as supply and demand trading goes. And look, guys, the last couple weeks have not been too great for trading. So if it hasn't been too great for you, look, I feel for you guys, okay? I totally understand. I've been trading for 6 years. I've been here so many times, and we have to expect to have many losing weeks throughout an entire trading career, or trading year rather, okay? So do not, get too upset. As the euro pushed up here, one of our members caught a beautiful trade. Whale, congrats on your 5-minute demand zone Euro US dollar trade on the 4-to-1. Beautiful setup there, picture perfect. So just wanted to give a shout out to one of our members. And we actually caught a beautiful trade on the Euro GBP as well, long as the euro continued to push up. So as far as the euro goes, it was a pretty decent week. And again, that trade was called out beforehand in the daily market breakdown video. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1-hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions, and finally the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately, absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So as we continue to push up here on the euro, remember that 1 hour demand I was talking about on the DXY? Well, this is the inverse 1 hour area of supply at 115. So at this time, I think we could see trend line continue to hold. On a 5-minute time frame, we could be looking for longs as long as this trend line is being respected. And I get questions, what do you mean by that, Kevin? It means whatever strategy you trade, whether it's supply and demand, support and resistance, whatever, 5-minute time frame longs are good as long as this trend line is being respected. If we break the trend line, then I would hold off. If you are long, I would look to maybe take profit at the supply zone or at least be more aggressive with trade management as we approach that 1 hour supply, because I think it could be used for a potential move to the downside. If we remove this supply, any demand there could be a pretty good potential long opportunity on the euro as well. The better supply zone is actually sitting above. So if you want the higher odds situation, this is the chart to be looking at in the 4 hour time frame, in my opinion. So right now on the euro, we have a nice 4 hour downward trend line that is currently being respected. I like where we're at in it. As long as this 4 hour downward trend line is holding, we could be looking for shorts on a 15-minute time frame. That is definitely an option. If we pull up to the supply zone, it could be an area we look for a potential short trade as well at 116. I like the zone. The basing's decent, removed a demand zone, nice aggressive move away. I think it definitely could be good for a short trade, especially if something like this takes place where we push in the trend line, break the trend line, kind of trend line liquidity here, then I think that supply zone could be even better. So it's definitely a supply zone. You want to have your charts on the euro US dollar. And look, if we break out of this 4 hour supply, 4 hour trend line, if we have a 4 hour demand zone there, I don't mind hopping on long. I'm fine with admitting, okay, I was wrong in the euro. We're not going down anymore. But I'm not just going to keep shorting if this takes place. I'm going to be looking for longs. So that's what I'll be waiting for in the euro if we do in fact break the supply zone above. Alrighty, moving on to the forecast for gold. Finally, getting a couple bad weeks in gold, but I wanted to show you guys the higher time frame perspective here. Yes, gold, we've been pulling back, but I mean, look at the higher time perspective. We have a monthly demand sitting right here as well. So look, guys, gold, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a deep pullback like this on gold. We could see gold be bearish, you know, for the next year or so. It's definitely a possibility, and that's fine. I welcome a pullback down to our demand zone on the monthly chart. I would love that, especially for, you know, physical purchases. That'd be fantastic. On the daily time frame, we reacted off of our daily zone here. And look, guys, we reacted off this daily zone here. None of these zones to me are high quality zones at all. They're really not. The moves away are qualifiable, but not really tradable in my opinion. So I was a little surprised to see moves off of our zones here. I think the fact that the trend is up is what's really holding up price, guys. These zones are pretty weak. I like to have them on my charts to see what removes them. That's part of my chain analysis, which is what we go over in the Sunday meetings, but I'm not going to get into that here. On the daily chart, we have a daily demand and control. Remember, our higher time frame trends are up, so our bias is certainly to the upside. If we start to break demand zones and we create a daily downward trend, then I'll be pretty bearish on gold. As far as longs go, our profit margin is at least to 42.69 plus all-time highs. So with this demand and control, we have a pretty decent area to fill up to our daily supply zone there. So how do we go about and trade gold now? Well, on the 1 hour chart, we had a 1 hour supply zone here. This 1 hour supply zone was wicked right above. I don't call this removed. I am not going to go into detail. This is just a forecast, not a, I don't like to do too many lessons in here. If you want to watch tips videos, I have tons of those on my channel. But we removed this high. We technically wicked above the supply. I'm not calling this supply zone removed just based off of my experience, but more importantly, which I didn't even really notice until now for some reason, is that we have a very nice 1 hour trend. And this is not just any 1 hour trend. Yes, a 1 hour, I would hope that everybody thinks that this is a bullish sign. Everybody probably thinks this is a bullish sign. But what's even more bullish about this 1 hour upward trend is the fact that our weekly trend is up, right? Our daily trend is up as well. And not only that, we have a daily demand and control down here. So this isn't just any old 1 hour trend. This is a 1 hour trend as we have a weekly and daily trend and a daily demand is in control. So it's a pretty reasonable buy signal, in my opinion, on gold. I don't really see any zones forming right now, but as long as this 1 hour trend line's holding, 5-minute time frame longs are going to be good. If we can officially remove this supply, I will have a demand zone on the charts for myself and for the members where we will be looking for potential long trades. Again, why? Because I want to hop on basically the pullback here if we're going to ride the next wave up on gold. I want to be involved, in that long. So with that break of that high and the trend continued up here on the 1 hour chart, I think it's a pretty bullish sign here on gold. And in my opinion, as long as this trend line's holding, we could expect gold to continue to go up. But guys, if the trend line breaks and we create a supply zone, we definitely could hop on a short trade with an expectation that, hey, we might be getting a deeper pullback. Alrighty, moving on to the S&P 500. This is a market that I added in my weekly Forex forecast videos a couple weeks ago. So hope you guys are enjoying this. Let me know what you guys think about my S&P 500 forecast. Are you happy that I introduced it into the cycle of markets that I do? And if you guys are enjoying this video so far, I would appreciate a like and subscribe so you can get my forecast every single week so you don't miss any of them. On the daily chart here, we have a trend line, and don't get it twisted, our trend line is not attached here. The trend line is attached from all the way down here. Our second touch point was here, and this is simply a reaction off of our properly drawn trend line. I do take pride in my trend lines. It's not just about supply and demand zones. Trend lines are extremely important in my analysis as well. So with this daily trend line in control, we are expecting the S&P 500 to continue to go up. So as far as trading the S&P 500 goes, how do we go about and trade it? The 1 hour chart, it's a little bit tricky right now. We did see beautiful moves off of our supply zones. Nice trades, but no trades that I personally take. I don't short the S&P 500. I don't short indexes. That's one of my only trading rules where I don't where I say I don't trade that side of the market. So if we do break this 1 hour supply, that's going to be a very good 1 hour demand zone in my opinion, because it not only was it a good supply zone, that was a tradable zone, we got many reactions off of it. So there's clearly a lot of selling up here at about 68.24. So again, if we break that, any demand there, definitely a demand zone I'm personally going to have my eyes on if we can remove it. The 4 hour chart is even more clear in my opinion. I wouldn't say blasted through our zone. We did get a decent move off of it, but we ended up breaking this 4 hour zone. Again, with all the uncertainty in the markets right now, I'm not surprised to see technical analysis not the highest odds situations lately, but that is why we have a good risk reward, and that is why we play the game long term. So with this demand zone taken out, we had a supply zone formed at 67.95. So I like this 4 hour chart view. This 4 hour trend is definitely bearish. If you are bearish, which again, you're trading against a higher time frame trend, I don't know why you would be bearish, but if you are, the only way I would be shorting is on a 15-minute time frame as long as this 4 hour trend line is being respected. Also, we could look for a quick short trade off of this supply level at 67.95 as well. When I say quick, I do mean quick. I mean, be aggressive with trade management. Move your stop to break even. Move your stop to half risk. Whatever you got to do, be aggressive with trade management because, yes, it's a good area of supply that removed demand has an aggressive move away, but it is counter trend to the higher time frames. So we have to be aggressive with trade management there. As somebody who is looking for longs, what I'm going to be doing is hopefully waiting. Well, I'm going to be waiting. I'm hoping for a move that breaks the trend line and the supply at the same time. That would be preferred. And we could get a pullback down to that demand zone to ride up the next wave on the S&P 500. So I will admit it is looking a little bit bearish right now, but we have a very, very clear trend line and supply zone where if those get removed, that is definitely going to be a bullish signal. So I absolutely love the way the S&P 500 chart looks right now. It's not favorable for me, for somebody who wants to prefer to get in long, but it's favorable as in what we could be seeing as we break out to the upside. So that's what I'll be watching out for this week. Alrighty, moving on to the USDJPY. There, I will admit there's not a lot going on in the USDJPY as far as zones go, but more importantly on the daily time frame, we have a daily trend line that was attached from here to here, and we are simply getting a reaction off of our daily trend line so far. Not the most bullish sign, but I will admit it's looking somewhat bullish right now on the USDJPY. So as long as this daily trend line is holding, our bias for swing traders, even day traders, is definitely going to be to the upside. That is for sure. I don't like the 1 hour chart. It's kind of all over the place. Nothing is super clear to me. But on the 4 hour chart, we don't have any setups right now. Don't get upset. I'm not going to sit here and just force a setup and just show you guys setup so that you can walk away with this video. Look at all the setups that FX that Kevin told me about. I'm not doing that. If there's a forecast week where it's like there's nothing going on, I'm literally just going to say that, right? I'm honest here on my channel. I'm not just going to point out, bad setups for you guys. We have a 4 hour supply zone above. And since their daily trend is to the upside, again, remember, our bias is long. But I don't really want to be getting in long right now because it would make me a little bit nervous since we broke this trend line. Yeah, technically the daily trend's up, so getting in long isn't the worst idea ever. Me, personally, how I trade is with supply and demand. So I'll be waiting for this supply zone to be taken out. And if that gets taken out by a 4 hour area of demand, that's going to be my trading opportunity. It's really as simple as that. We have a supply zone right now that's holding up price in a daily trend. So in order for that daily trend to continue, this supply needs to be taken out. That's how I view it. I'm not just going to guess, right? If I was going to guess right now, if you made me do something right now, what I would do is I would risk 50% of so I'd risk 0.5% right now with the anticipation that price is going to go up. And then once that's removed, if there's a demand zone here, I'll take the rest of the trade at that zone with my stop under it. Moving on to the forecast for the GBPUSD. This is a very, very tricky chart right now as we just removed a weekly demand zone. We have a weekly trend to the upside though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the pound continue to go up, but it wouldn't surprise me to see price pull back, right? Especially since we are kind of bullish on the dollar right now. So we could see the pound continue to fall. And on the daily chart, it's pretty clear what has taken place. We have a very nice daily downward trend line. So as long as this daily trend line is holding, we could expect the pound to continue to fall. We can pretty much ignore that weekly trend to the upside that we have. We have two fresh areas of demand back here. Now, these were created back in March and April. So they're pretty old zones, guys, but they definitely could be used to maybe push price and turn price around. So they could be kind of used as our profit margin as we potentially look for shorts here in the British pound. The issue right now is we have a 4 hour downward trend and a 1 hour upward trend. So it's a little bit tricky right now on the pound, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible for you guys. As long as this 4 hour trend line's holding, I like 15-minute time frame shorts. I personally don't day trade. I enter on a 1 hour chart and up. That is it. But if you do day trade, you're in luck because we have a nice 4 hour trend. We could be looking for shorts on a 15-minute chart. This supply zone above is pretty mid. It's really not that great, but if we do pull up to it, I think it could be good for a small move. I would have a wider stop on that one. That's what I would do. And again, it's really not even really that great of a zone. It's really the only zone that I am seeing. What I think is more likely for trading decisions is what could happen is on this 1 hour chart. So remember, before I go to the 1 hour chart, our daily trend is to the downside. So our bias is to the downside. It doesn't mean we can't get in long. It just means that if we are going to get in long, we want to be aggressive with trade management. If we're going to get in short, we could be less aggressive with trade management. So right now we have a nice 1 hour trend to the upside. As long as this trend line's holding, you could justify 5-minute time frame longs. But again, it's counter trend to the daily. So I would be aggressive with trade management. Me personally, what I'd be waiting for is a break of this trend line, hopefully leaving us with a 1 hour supply zone there. And that would be our supply zone short trade to continue to trade with the daily downward trend line. Alrighty, moving on to the forecast for the USDCAD, the Canadian dollar. That is the country I am from, in case nobody knew. I used to always say it, and people started making fun of me in the comments. Nothing crazy. I'm just kind of joking around. But let me know where you guys are from in the comments down below. We have a nice daily trend line to the upside, clearly tanking here in the USDCAD. But look at the overall perspective. On a 1 minute chart, this is going to look like the USDCAD is falling into the depths of hell, and it's just not. We have a daily trend on the upside, so we could expect USDCAD to kind of turn around at any point. We have a very, very clear area of daily supply back here at 1.42. It's a very good zone. I wouldn't be surprised, if let me just zoom out here, wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of hesitation at that daily supply zone. So our bias is clearly to the upside right now. So how do we go about and trade the USDCAD? Well, there are basically there's one option on the 4-hour chart and there's one option on the 1 hour time frame. So again, our bias is to the upside. We are pulling back into our demand zone at 1.4. It's not a bad zone. The move weight's pretty good. The basing's decent. I think we could see a decent move off of the zone. But the better zone is actually sitting down below at 1.39. So the way I would look at it here is we want to be trading with the daily trend, and we want to let our risk reward play in the long run. So I will happily take a loss at the zone and take both. I'll happily take a loss at both. I will happily lose minus 2% while trading with a overall daily trend of the upside, because what this means if we break both of these is that, hey, this trend's coming to an end. And that's fine with me. That happens with trends. They come to an end. But I want to be trading with the trend. And these zones help us trade along with the trend. So if you want to get in long at this zone, I think being semi-aggressive with trade management could be worth it, especially considering I think we could see a small move off of it before breaking down to the downside and seeing the bigger move off of that zone. But nonetheless, these are two great 4-hour demand zones for potential long trades as we continue to trade with the overall daily trend to the upside. On the 1 hour chart, we have an option here as well as we really pulled back. We have a 1 hour supply zone sitting above at 1.4. So if you're bearish, you think, Kevin, you're so wrong. The USDCAD is going to tank. That's fine. If you have that opinion, totally reasonable. The only way I would short if I were you, right? I am disagreeing with you if you think that the USDCAD is going to continue to go down, but that's fine. That's what makes a market. So I'm just going to give you advice. My advice is if you are going to short, I would wait for this supply zone to be hit, then look for day trading shorts in there. You could even be good for a potential short as well. If you're going to short the zone, though, I would be aggressive with trade management because you are going against a daily trend to the upside. If we remove this supply, this is what I'll be looking for. If we remove this supply, any demand there is going to be a good demand zone if we can get it. That's what I'll be waiting for on the 1 hour chart on the USDCAD. Already moving on to the forecast for the AUDUSD on this weekly chart. I've been pointing this one out for a while. There's absolutely nothing going on. There's nothing to go off of, no zones, no trends. So it has been very unreliable, I will say that, on the Aussie US dollar. What took place here was this demand zone came in control. We broke the trend line, clearly just some sort of fake out, and then we pushed back down pretty much for a almost for a third test on the Aussie US dollar. So we were at those lows there, but there's just really nothing to go off of on this chart as well. I don't like trading at tested zones. If I do, I'm always more aggressive with trade management, which is why this demand zone was a quick trade for me. I was telling members last night, I would be out of this trade, right? Because there's no higher time frame confluence here at all. So it does suck when that takes place after getting out of the trade, but it is what it is. I'm not going to sit around and cry about it. I'm just going to simply move on. It's really that simple. And if you guys want help with psychology aspects of trading like that, check out my podcast, Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, it's also on YouTube as well. So with this 1 hour demand and control, I think we could be looking for longs on a 5-minute chart, but that's really all I'm seeing. I don't really see anything taking place right now. However, on the 4-hour chart, if you're bearish, we do have a pretty good 4-hour supply sitting all the way up above at 0.657. So if we do pull up to there, definitely could be a good zone. This wasn't really trades for me as far as this 4-hour chart goes because it was a tested area of demand. That's why I traded at that fresh 1-hour demand zone on the Aussie. If you notice back here, we have a demand zone sitting below at 0.643 and one even lower at 0.640. These are two pretty old zones, but what I like about them, I just messed up this zone. What I like about them is the fact that they are fresh. And actually, that was not the right place to draw the zone. The zone was over here. My bad. So what I like about these zones Well, I don't like that they're old, but what I like about them is that we are creating liquidity before them. So if we do pull back to that zone at 0.643, definitely could be a area we see a move off of back there. And even if we break that, we have another zone that's better sitting right down below. So we have a lot of 4-hour zones here on the Aussie that we could be playing. But for now, I'm just not really seeing too many trading decisions right now. So I would be either waiting for maybe a 1-hour trend where we could day trade with that trend. But for now, I would just be waiting for some zones to be hit or trends to be formed. All right, on to the USD Swiss. We have a nice daily trend to the upside. The only issue is if you view this as a channel, we are sitting at the top of the channel. So yeah, sometimes we will break out of a channel like that and longs look good, but obviously it's better to be looking for longs in the lower half of the channel. That's fine. It's not going to scare me. It's a pretty straightforward chart. We have two options. Again, we prefer our long trades here. However, if you're bearish, as long as this 1-hour trend line's holding, we could be looking for 5-minute time frame shorts. As somebody who is more bullish on the dollar this week, if we break this downward trend line, any demand zone there is going to be a good trading opportunity. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for, simply a breakout of this trend line with hopefully a demand zone for a potential long trade. Also, if you're a bearish, which again, if you're in a trade short, I would just be aggressive with trade management. It's really that simple. So if you're bearish, we have a 4-hour supply sitting above at 0.807. Could be good for maybe a small move. I'm thinking 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1. And again, as somebody who is bullish, I'll be waiting for this supply to be removed, and any demand there is going to be a pretty good potential buying opportunity. There is a demand zone that's fresh all the way down below at 0.79. So if we do get a deeper pullback all the way down to there, I think it could be rewarding. It's kind of an older zone, so you might want to be more aggressive with trade management if we do pull back to that area of demand. All right, moving on to the forecast for oil. And if you guys are not following me on Instagram, make sure you guys check it out. FX Telepath. You can message me there and say hello, whatever you want to do. I'm not super active on there, but I would appreciate a like or a follow. Really simple, straightforward analysis on oil. It doesn't get any cleaner than this. I'll do a full top-down analysis, and hopefully you guys like it. Let me know what you guys think. So on the weekly chart, we have a weekly downward trend, so we are definitely bearish based off of that. We have our liquidity down below, our support area, and that represents liquidity. I think we will be targeting this liquidity by pushing price down. And it is a pretty decent demand zone from back here as well on the weekly chart. So I think this could be used, again, for only a small move because the trend is to the downside. So I think on the weekly chart, we will be targeting this liquidity, hitting this demand zone at 53.85 and reacting off of that demand zone. That is what I'm expecting to see happen on crude oil as far as the weekly time frame goes. On the daily time frame, we have a nice daily downward trend line that is supporting our bearish bias on oil. So that's nice to know as well. And not only that, if you look at this in a channel, we're pretty much sitting in the middle. So shorts right now, definitely not a bad idea on crude oil, especially considering my higher time frame analysis. So as far as the 4-hour chart goes, we have a nice 4-hour downward trend line. As long as this 4-hour downward trend line is holding, we could be looking for shorts on a 15-minute time frame. Definitely an option. I think we could see price pull up to this 1-hour area of supply. We have a liquidity area right before it. I like that we got a reaction off of it. Now, to me, we have resistance traders trading here with stop losses all above into our little kind of hidden supply zone at 60.81, where I think we could see a decent move to the downside off of that 1-hour area of supply on crude oil. Pretty simple, straightforward analysis. Let me know what you guys thought. Alrighty, last but certainly not least, Bitcoin. On the weekly time frame here, we have a beautiful weekly trend to the upside. I wouldn't ignore this move, but I mean, look at the overall perspective here. We are definitely pretty bullish here on Bitcoin. There's a zone all the way down at 97,938 at the weekly chart. I think we could definitely see a move off of that zone, even if we break it. I mean, we have a picture perfect demand zone at 71,000 as well. So this could be our near term area where we see a move off of to the upside, but we have not quite hit it yet. Right now, we have a daily downward trend that is currently being respected. So as long as this daily downward trend line is being respected, we could expect price to contact that weekly demand zone. But once we contact that weekly demand zone, if we break this daily trend line, any daily demand zone there is going to be a fantastic dip buying opportunity, again, to continue to trade with the overall weekly trend. Yes, Bitcoin, it looks like it's falling off of a cliff, but falling off of a cliff gives us opportunities to buy low and sell high. So that's what we will be doing here on Bitcoin. I really don't see too much to go off of on the 1 hour chart, so we're pretty much going to stick to the 4 hour time frame here. Beautiful move off of our 4 hour area of supply. You can go back and watch last week's forecast and see I had the zone on my chart. Beautiful move off of that supply zone. I did not have this one on my chart before this took place, so that was not a trade, but nonetheless, it is a supply zone that's currently holding up price. We came back in for a second touch. I don't trade second touches, but what I will be looking for, well, I don't trade Bitcoin personally, but what I would be looking for, and maybe I even will dabble in a Bitcoin position as we potentially push price to the upside, but it would be more of a long-term investment kind of thing. But if we do break this supply zone and preferably the trend line, any demand zone there is going to be a great dip buying opportunity. So if you're bearish, we could be shorting on a 15-minute time frame as long as this 4 hour downward trend line is being respected. It's definitely a possibility. But again, we're so close to demand zone down below that we could start to see Bitcoin start to rally. So if we break this supply, it's a proven supply, that's going to be great. The demand zone that removes that's definitely going to be a powerful area of demand. Let's say you missed that trade, whatever. If we break this supply above, any demand zone there is going to be a good opportunity as well. So with these supply zones being taken out potentially, Bitcoin going to be setting up very nicely for a potential move to the upside. And again, if you're bearish, we just want to be monitoring this 4 hour downward trend line. And as soon as that breaks, we could expect Bitcoin to, I wouldn't say explode to the upside, but definitely start to push to the upside. That's why monitoring this 4 hour downward trend line is going to be very, very important. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.